Good evening from Nigeria, Africa. I'm excited to be on this Congress. I'm excited to talk about Africa. Welcome from Nigeria. So today we look at a continent that has 54 countries, a continent that is free, that is filled with potentials, a continent that has vibrant landscape, and of course, a diverse ecosystem, and very rich in its heritage, people, culture, language, food, whatever. Africa is, like we say here, it's time for Africa. So I excited to be here to talk about the green potentials of a continent like Africa, to discuss the strategies for preserving, for conserving um, its environment, especially as regards environmental protection and, of course, conservation. So, is it going to be a good ride to take you on a journey of how we can access these green potentials? Well, today is not about just energy conservation. It's about finding a way to put together um, its potentials, to put together the prosperity of people that are living in Africa, and find a way to um, enrich its ecosystem, and of course to also let the world know the potential that lies within Africa's green economy. But before I do that, I would like to tell you the current state of environmental issues that plagues Africa. Come with me, and we have so much to talk about. I hope you enjoy the ride. Thank you as we go to the next level of this discussion. Like I mentioned earlier, that we'll examine the current challenges that are facing us in Africa, such as deforestation, climate change impact, pollution, amongst other things. So we'll just look at the countries. I know that this presentation or this talk might not capture everyone, but at least let's look at the major, like the six major ones that we're currently dealing with. I start from home, Nigeria. We talk about Niger Delta, where you have the oil spillage in the Niger Delta, and it's estimated that tens of thousands of barrels are released annually. Imagine what that does to the people living in that area, especially people that have their means of livelihood. Some of them are fishing communities, some of them are farming communities. So having this over the water, which is their main source of income, its impact on aquatic economic ecosystem in within their communities. So this is one area to consider. Then we'll go to South Africa, where we are having the water pollution, especially in the urban areas. Studies have shown that water sources are contaminated with pollutants. Of course, when it's the resultant effect is it affects the quality and poses a health risk on the population. So this is coming from Johannesburg. Then we go to Johannesburg. So we go to Cairo, Egypt, where World Health Organization has reported that Egypt, or Cairo to be precise, has exceeded the recommended air quality levels. When you talk about air pollution, the first thing that comes to mind is respiratory issues that people within that vicinity will have. So these are some of the issues that reside with having poor air to breathe in. Then we have the issue of land degradation. When you get to Ethiopia, where United Nations says that 40% of Ethiopia's land is degraded. Of course, when a land is degraded, it affects the agricultural productivity, the rural livelihood again. So most of these things feeds back into the economic situation of the people, because you see that some of these things affect the means of livelihood, and when someone's means of livelihood is affected, it automatically affects the way of living. of those people. Then we quickly go to Madagascar, where they're experiencing significant land deforestation. Madagascar has one of the highest rates globally, actually. So we see estimates suggesting that the loss of land around 200,000 hectares of forest annually. Of course, it threatens their biodiversity and ecosystem services within that area. Finally, one of the ones we'll be looking at today as one of the issues is the poor policies. Poor policies, I would think that it cuts across a lot of countries in Africa, where even when the policies are there, the implementation, the enforcement, and other. But I singled out the Republic of Congo, that is majorly facing effective carrying out effective environmental policies, where of course, when such things are not at or not are not implemented, or are not even put in place as policies, you see that it affects habitat, it affects biodiversity, and of course, well-being of the local communities. So these are some of the issues that currently some countries in Africa, like I said, the list is inexhaustible, but I have chosen to talk about these ones that we can easily relate to, and they are really major when it comes to the continent. So the next thing we'll be looking at is, what are the ways? These are the issues, but remember that part of what I am dealing with today is to talk about ways, sustainable ways, that we can arrest, or we can even minimize to the barest minimum these current environmental challenges. So, having looked at the issues that plague Africa, we've gone to southern, western, eastern, and of course northern Africa to see the environmental issues that are currently grappling with. Let's now look at the ways where how we can what we can apply to ensure that these issues are either eradicated or minimized, to ensure that the full potentials, economic potentials in Africa is achieved. The first thing that comes to mind is technology. The world rises and sleeps and goes to bed with technology. Everything is technology. Everything is innovation. So people look for better ways of doing things via technology. So I would take us on a ride on how technology can help, or technology can support these strategies to ensure sustainable environmental protection and conservation. Okay, so we will now look at the crucial role technology and innovation play in sustaining access to Africa's green potential. So first of all, let's look at renewable energy solutions, which is the in thing in the moment, where people are trying to stay away from fossil fueled energy to alternative sources. So we'll look at um, the cost-effective renewable energy sources such as solar, wind, and electric power. Aside generating from these sources, you think of storage, innovative storage, and of course, how to distribute to the end users. So these are some of the places that technology can come in well, so that we reduce dependence on fossil fuel usage that affects or harms our environment. Then we look at water management. Of course, tech solutions boost smart systems, helps to optimize water systems such as water purification or the salinization of water. So those are some of the things that technology or innovation can and help in enhancing access to clean water for people. Then we look at also the smart water management systems that uses data and sensors to optimize water usage. especially in agriculture, and it also reduces waste. Then, should I say my favorite one, which is the waste management and recycling? It is heavy in Africa. It's something to look at. These days, we talk about waste to wealth, where everybody is encouraged to recycle, to reuse. So you see that technology facilitates efficient waste management systems, including waste to energy processes and recycling technologies. Also, plastic. We know the harm that plastic does in our environment. So, having innovative ways to contain plastic usage and plastic alternatives, and by biodegradable materials. Those are some of the things that technology will help to curb. Then let's look at information and communication technology, how it enables the dissemination of environmental education and awareness. It's so key that people, we keep talking in Africa, we talk about environmental challenges. It has become important to educate the communities, to educate people in the communities of the dangers of some of the practices there. And one of the ways to do that is using mobile applications can provide real-time information and weather patterns for people that stay in the communities. Deforestation information and other environmental indicators using technology can help the communities, decipher these things real time. There are sensors that can be deployed in oil-rich communities to dictate spills real time. The sensors, they can trigger immediate responses that can contain and clean up the spill. So those are the kind of things that we should be considering. Of course, also autonomous surface and underwater vehicles that can be deployed or designed to locate and clean up spills as well. The big question is, what can we do? Having touched on the technologies that are available to conserve or to protect our environment, and to also enable us access Africa's green potentials. What is expected of you and I? What should everybody is expected to come on board, of course, for us to be successful. However, what roles, who are the people expected to come on board? What are the expectations from these stakeholders? So first of all, let's start with government. Knowing the issues, of course, we always hear that the role of government is to protect citizens and to ensure that everyone is safe. Having looked at this function of the government, it will be expected that policies, resources are made available towards these innovations or this technology that we had mentioned earlier regarding protecting the environment. What are the expectations? It is expected that policies be put in place, and not just policies being put in place. We expect that policies are enforced, policies are executed to ensure that our environment is protected, to ensure so that the resources are made available. And these solutions, even if it comes from government, they must be community based. You ensure that the stakeholder, who is the end user, or who is in this case, the people that these issues affect the most, they must be involved in driving this policy. So that's for government, the policies. Then we look at training. I had mentioned earlier about education in sustainability. It has become crucial. And like I always say, let's take them from when they are young. Let's start educating the young people on sustainability. Let's start making the young people aware of their environment. So I would always be an advocate for going to schools, catch them young, teach them about the environment. Let every child be responsible for their environment. Starting with, like in Africa, I always say, let's start with separating, assuming it comes to plastics. Let's start with, first of all, when it comes to waste management, Let's start by evaluating the waste. Teach a child how to separate the waste, which is where it starts from. So education on sustainability is key to where the journey is going to lead us to. What we must access is our green potential. It's time to start educating the children, adult, everybody must get on board. So education is key. We must train people on sustainability. Then for the funding takes me back to government. It takes me back to collaborations with NGOs. Funding is very crucial. Some of the things, especially in technology, is not cheap. So some of this technology, some of the innovations that we need to apply to get to where we're going to must be funded. This is where we call on collaborations, with NGOs, collaborations with companies or organizations who are already at the forefront of this journey to ensure that the green potentials are discovered and maximized. So yes, this is a call for collaboration. So if you can, it is time to collaborate with the people in Africa to get this done. Then we look at community involvement. I said it that the community, the people in the community are the people that these affect the most. So whatever innovation, whatever policy, whatever funding, it must get to the grassroots. So this is a time to consider bringing the people in the community on board to ensure that they understand, to ensure there's a buy-in. You must get their buy-in. If the fisherman, if the farmer in the community do not get a buy-in or do not even understand what you're talking about, how then do you now help out? Or how then do we support? How then do we take the potentials that lie within them, which some of them are blind to it? So involvement of communities, involvement of government, NGOs, partnerships with people that can fund the NGOs are some of the crucial collaborations that we must bring on board in order to achieve or in order to access Africa's green potential. I am hopeful and I am positive that Africa is rising, and with your collaboration, we can do great, great things for this continent called Africa. Thank you for listening, and I hope that you were able to take away some of the highlights from this talk. See you next time. Bye for now.